it goes to what our next topic is the BRICS nations,
Yes.
right? So if you're, what is that? What's the BRICS nation stands for? It's something. Oh, Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
It used to be BRIC, and now it's BRICS because Saudi Arabia has agreed to do not all of them, but some of their oil trades are going to be using the Chinese currency, which is the most manipulated currency in the history of the world. So that's pretty stupid. But at the same time, do I blame these nations for trying to trade in the Chinese yuan instead of trading in the U.S. dollar? Well, I mean, like I said, we went in and we seized an entire country's reserve currency, which is the U.S. dollar. We seized the U.S. dollars owned by Russia. We keep printing more money. That's my homegirl Janet Yellen. Fucking love her, right? Not. She's such an idiot. She comes out and testifies before Congress that they are going to increase the deficit next year, meaning increase our debt to $50 trillion. That's 17 trillion more dollars than it is this year. Trillion. T with a T, right? Well, if you're a nation and you see this other nation that keeps printing money and getting more and more into debt, it's weakening the U.S. dollar. Now I can't even trust that my U.S. dollars are safe because if I do something that the Biden administration doesn't like, they're just going to seize my money. How dumb. How dumb. The last thing we need as a country is for us not to be the world reserve anymore. Because if we're not the world reserve currency anymore, the U.S. dollar will collapse.
It's coming. It's just a matter of when.
It doesn't have to, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to come.
But there's still right now we're still in a massive lead. I don't have the numbers in front, but it's
68%.
Yeah,
it's a massive lead.
It's still a massive lead.
It does not have to come. You think it does?
Historically, every global currency has lasted about 200 years. We at the most.
Guess what? Strengthen the currency.
At that time.
Okay, I don't give a damn about the time. Why did they fail? They failed printing money,
right?
Putting money into war.
Exactly what we're doing.
You know what exactly what we're doing, but it doesn't have to be that way because the current administration, it wasn't that way. It just wasn't. The money didn't start getting printed until when?
Till Bush. I mean, Ukraine was when
I'm talking about our previous administration. They were actually cutting the deficit until COVID hit, and they had to print all. They shut down the government. Terrible decision. Right. They shut down the country. Terrible decision. They printed a bunch of money and sent out checks to people. Right. Yes. That's when it started getting printed, and then it's just gotten worse under this administration. I don't give a damn what anyone says. It's gotten worse. You can stop the spending of money. You can stop the bloat in the government.
Oh, it has definitely gotten worse.
You can stop, but what I'm saying is you can stop it. You can stop this from happening. We do not have to lose our status as the world reserve currency. We don't have to do it. But if we keep making these bad decisions, because that's what this is bad decisions, then we will lose the world reserve currency. And that's going to hurt every American here, especially since we don't believe in being energy independent anymore. But I mean, seriously. We don't have the oil reserves we used to have. The dollar is called the petrodollar. Look it up. We're losing our status and we're losing our grip and our control as the U.S. As the reserve currency in the world. It was supposed to be backed up and be the petrodollar, but Saudi Arabia is not going to trade petroleum, oil in the Chinese yuan. We are in trouble if we don't right the ship. But I disagree with what you're saying. I don't think we have to lose the U.S. reserve currency. We need good leadership that starts making good decisions, and we won't lose that.
I mean, I agree we don't have to lose it, but I think we will.
Great. So you're a pessimist.
I have no trust in the government.
Okay. So what do you do? What do you do? We just sit here and we lose it? Because here's the deal. If we lose the U.S. reserve currency, there's going to be a lot of pain. That means a lot of people who have money in this country will no longer have that money. Their money won't be worth what they think it was. Yeah. So what do you do?
I mean, what you do is you look into all the other options, like crypto. Like there are other options out there. And I'm not saying go full crypto, whatever, it's doom and gloom. Like it's going to take a while for it to get to that point too. I don't think it's not going to be overnight that the U.S. dollar loses. Like we said, I mean, there's a massive lead still. That being said, I mean, I think if you do need to look into other options. And I think diversifying into crypto is like one of those options, just because it's going to be stable and it's going to be not as dependent
Maybe.
upon one global currency.
Maybe it'll be stable, but I mean, we saw a 40% reduction in the cost of Bitcoin. Went from almost $100,000 down to it's at 30 something right now. It was 68,000 to it's at 33 right now for a Bitcoin. So
Right, it dropped with the news of the $E and everything. I don't.
No, it didn't. It's up now. I'm talking about over
It's
the
back
past
up.
year. Yeah, it's up like 3 or 4% today. But what I'm saying to you is, it goes like this.
Right.
Massive swings right now because there's not. And the theory is more people investing into, the less the swings will be.
Right.
Hodl, hold. Right. But I don't know. There's nothing good there's no way to prevent the loss of wealth to every citizen of this country if we lose U.S. reserve currency. Yeah, look into other options, but whatever is in U.S. dollar, you're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I mean, you're sitting there in silence like I'm a crazy person.
I mean, then what do you do?
You fucking vote in better people.
Yeah.
You vote in better people and you start paying attention. Why do we have this podcast?
Spread information.
Spread information. Start paying attention to what people are saying. And even if you don't believe everything I'm saying or Ben's saying or anybody's saying, what do? Go out and research it yourself. I'm not sitting here trying to spread misinformation and lies. That's not what I'm doing. I am telling you what's actually happening in the world. Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia, and they're trying to add more, are trying to get rid of the U.S. dollar as the U.S. reserve currency.
Right.
The Saudi prince came out and said, I don't care what the United States wants anymore. That's supposed to be one of our biggest allies.
Yes.
So what do? What you need to vote in politicians who are better politicians. Better politicians. As much as people hated Trump, he was a way better politician than the ones that are in here because guess what? This would not have happened under him because he was crazy and they were afraid that he was crazy. One of the biggest compliments you can give a U.S. president is calling them crazy. Because if the other nations think you're crazy enough, they aren't going to screw with you. And that's what these nations are doing. We are looked at by the world as weak. And as much as we want to think in this country it's so bad, this, that, and the other thing, and men are so bad, and this, that, and everybody's bad and bad and bad, it's not true. Like, we are the good of the world. Now, I don't agree with being involved in Russia, Ukraine, or all these global wars. I believe in more of a nationalist approach where we are concerned with our country and our country a majority. Obviously, we still have to police the world to an extent, but man alive, vote in better politicians and this stuff wouldn't be happening. And people don't realize we're really close to nuclear war and we're really close to losing the United States dollar as a reserve currency. And I don't blame other countries, and I don't blame Russia from wanting to go away from it. I don't blame China. I don't blame these other countries because we literally took the reserves that another country paid for and took that money back and tried to call it a great sanction. It wasn't a great sanction.
No, we weaponized the dollar, the international currency. How do you expect other people to react when you essentially we have now shown that we're willing to use that as a weapon,
which is terrible. It's like when you tell kids. You tell parents not to use their kids against their parents as a weapon. You don't want to use the dollar as a weapon either.
No,
because now you lose trust and you lose faith in the dollar.
Right.
Going away from the gold standard, terrible idea. Terrible idea. We would not be in this situation. I don't think people realize how dangerous the debt is. There's some debt that's good debt, but when you just keep printing and you have fools like Janet Yellen and I guess Jerome Powell and the Fed chair and all these idiots out there, it's just you're hurting yourself. So
right.